Roger Stone here. Your dollars are losing ground, but gold isn't. American Sovereign Bullion helps you protect your wealth through real, tangible assets. Through their nationwide wholesaler network, you get some of the best pricing on gold and silver delivered straight to your door. Since 1912, the U.S. dollar has lost 97% of its purchasing power. Meanwhile, gold continues to prove its strength. So call 844-272-2428. That's 844-272-2428. Or visit DyingDollar.com to request your free gold and silver guide. That's DyingDollar.com.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me. Taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
And let's go right to Paul Perez. He is head of the Border Patrol Union, representing thousands upon thousands of great men and women with the National Border Patrol Council. Paul, thank you so much for joining us late on a Friday night. What's your reaction? This is huge news.
Rita, I'm happy for many reasons. This is justice. While there can never be true justice to the families, this is something good for the family of Jocelyn Nungary and Laken Riley, who were murdered by members of Tren de Arague. And so the fact that President Trump did what most people think only happens in movies, he did it. He showed the video. He brought the receipts, and he said, I am going to fulfill my campaign promise to go after these cartels, these terrorist leaders, and he did that today, and I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, I mean, how beautiful. And by the way, he put out in that statement, I don't know if you saw it, Paul Perez, but he said, I pledge to expel these monsters from our country, to bring justice to families that they slaughtered, including, and he cited Jocelyn Nungary, the 12-year-old, 22-year-old Laken Riley, and he said, and countless other beautiful souls. I made a commitment and I'm honoring my commitment. I mean, I can't think of a more consequential attack on the gangs and the cartels than taking out the leader. I mean, this is a huge deal. And of course, it comes after Maduro was taken to the United States. Now there's a new Venezuelan government, and President Trump has been touting this new Venezuelan government. And what a contrast, a few months makes. I mean, Trump has changed the hemisphere, Paul Perez.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what he's done. And look, anybody that thinks that President Trump isn't going to follow through on what he said he's going to do with these terrorists, whether it's a terrorist in the Middle East or a terrorist in the Western Hemisphere, South America, doesn't matter. They're not going to be able to hide. He's going after them. He's bringing with him the world's most advanced and best trained military. They're not going to be able to hide. This guy had no idea this was coming, and in an instant he was dead. And I think that brings happiness to thousands, millions of people across the country, thousands of people there in Venezuela that want to be free from these terrorists. And it's just another step in the war against these terrorist cartels.
You talked about how ruthless these cartels are. I was even thinking about even in Aurora, Colorado. Remember the famous scenes where they were like knocking on the doors with submachine guns? How ruthless is this gang and how pervasive?
They are just as deadly, just as ruthless as any other cartel. Whether it's Colorado, Nebraska, New Mexico, New York, Texas, it doesn't matter. They were going and they were operating with impunity. These are people that came in and took advantage of the Biden administration's open borders policy. They came in and they took over neighborhoods. No more. President Trump has put an end to that. The Department of Justice has put an end to that, and they are going after them. And so, these were some of the most brutal people that were operating here in the United States and across the world. But today sent a message. They cannot hide. Their days are limited.
How chilling is this effect? Like you just talked about, it definitely sends a message. It has a chilling effect, I would imagine, on other cartel leaders and also maybe the number 2 and 3 guy of Tren de Arague.
It's just like Iran. Initially, nobody wanted to be in charge. Nobody wanted to be the number one because of what happens to the number one. So I think it sends a chilling message, just like you said, and this is going to be the beginning of the end of Tren de Arague.
How important was it, to get this particular gang? Because this gang seems like it's been very pervasive in the United States. You brought up New York. I remember there were a lot of stories in Long Island. I brought up Aurora, Colorado. they seem to have gotten a foothold. And I was bringing up, there's a lot of layers to these gangs, not just, the drug smuggling, the fentanyl and other things, human trafficking, money. There's so many layers, right, to their criminal enterprise.
Yeah, they operate in everything from drug trafficking, firearms trafficking, commercial sex trafficking, extortion, theft, fraud, robbery, kidnapping, you name it, they do it, because at the end of the day, the bottom line to them, just like any other cartel, is money. But they are terrorists. They terrorize neighborhoods, they terrorize people, they torture their victims, and these are people that cannot be rehabilitated. So this kinetic strike on their leader is the best thing that President Trump could have done, because it sends a message to their leadership that he's not messing around. The United States means what they say when they're going to come after you, and I hope they're listening and watching now.
One of the things, too, they were sending a lot of the Tren de Arague guys, as you know all too well, Paul Perez, head of the Border Patrol Union there, a lot of them to Sicat prison in El Salvador, right? Because these guys, like you said, they're the worst of the worst. They didn't trust the Venezuelan government to send them back to Venezuela.
No, and the Sicat prison there in El Salvador, that is a model for these types of animals. These people that belong in that type of prison, that's exactly where they belong. And so President Trump, by sending them there, by having El Salvador accept them as prisoners, that was, again, another great feat. And so we don't want these people in the United States. We don't want them terrorizing people in their own countries. And that's why I believe Venezuela cooperated and allowed them to share intel, and it led to the eradication of their leader.
Yeah, this is a major, major effort. Paul Perez, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Such big, huge news. And I can't think of anybody better than you, because you understand the fight against these ruthless guys left and right. And your men and women in the Customs and Border Protection and the Border Patrol that are right there on the front lines are dealing with them all the time. So to hear your perspective is so important on this Friday night. Paul, thank you. I really appreciate it.